In the golden age of Hollywood, she was a vision of grace and glamour. Natalie Wood, the girl who danced her way into America's heart in West Side Story, and the troubled teen of Rebel Without a Cause. A household name, a beloved star. But on a chilly November night in 1981, everything changed. Her lifeless body was discovered floating beside her yacht, just off the coast of California's Catalina Island. She was 43. The official report? An accidental drowning, but almost immediately, the whispers began. She was afraid of water. She had bruises on her body. She was arguing with her husband, actor Robert Wagner, just hours before she disappeared. And yet, no one was ever charged. For years, the case remained buried under the weight of Hollywood's silence, until something changed. In 2011, the investigation was reopened, and in 2018, Robert Wagner was officially named a person of interest. So what really happened that night? Was it a tragic accident or something far more sinister? Because the truth behind Natalie Wood's death is much darker. Natalie Wood wasn't born into fame, she was thrust into it. Born Natalia Nikolaevna Zakharenko in 1938 to Russian immigrant parents in San Francisco, her life was shaped before she even understood what it meant. Her mother, Maria, was obsessed with stardom. She believed Natalie was destined to be a star, not for Natalie's sake, but for her own unfulfilled dreams. At the age of 4, Natalie appeared in her first film. By 7, she was playing significant roles in Hollywood productions. But behind the camera, she was never really a child. Her mother was controlling, manipulative, even cruel. There are stories of Maria forcing Natalie to cry on cue by threatening to kill her dog, or of dragging her from studio to studio, demanding obedience and perfection. Natalie was expected to smile, perform, and never say no. She learned early that love was conditional, that attention came with expectations, and that being a good girl was the only way to survive in a world where she had no control. But the world noticed her. At 8 years old, she starred in Miracle on 34th Street, captivating audiences with her natural charm. Hollywood embraced her, but no one asked what she needed. As she entered adolescence, Natalie began to struggle with her identity. She was growing up on screen, but inside, she felt hollow. Years later, she would say that she had no real childhood, only performances. The little girl America adored was never allowed to be a little girl at all. As Natalie grew older, Hollywood didn't let go. It held her tighter. She transitioned from child roles to teenage ones with ease, starring alongside legends like James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause. That film changed everything. It wasn't just a box office success, it was cultural. Natalie was nominated for an Oscar at just 17. The girl America had watched grow up was now a full-fledged star. But with that stardom came pressure, enormous pressure. She wasn't allowed to say no. Studio executives dictated her image, her relationships, even her weight. Publicists paired her with rising male stars for publicity. Her dating life wasn't hers. Her smile, carefully curated. Her sadness, hidden behind makeup and headlines. In the 1962nd, she took on roles in splendor in The Grass and West Side Story, proving she wasn't just a pretty face, she had range, depth, and fire. Audiences loved her. Directors trusted her. She was earning top billing, commanding attention, living the dream. But that dream didn't feel like her own. Behind the camera, Natalie battled anxiety and self-doubt. She constantly feared being replaced, a younger, shinier version, always waiting in the wings. She once said, "The only time I feel whole is when I'm acting. Off-screen, I don't know who I am." By her mid-22nd, Natalie had become one of the highest-paid actresses in Hollywood. But beneath the glamour was a deep exhaustion. She had never paused, never rested, never truly been asked what she wanted. And when she looked in the mirror, the girl in the reflection didn't always feel real. By the late 1972nd, Natalie Wood had seemingly done it all. Box office hits, award nominations, critical acclaim, a face loved across generations. But behind the curtain, the cracks were widening. Her marriage to actor Robert Wagner was always in the spotlight, and rarely for the right reasons. They had married young, divorced, and then remarried years later, trying to make it work again. But their love story wasn't the Hollywood fantasy the public imagined. There were whispers of jealousy, of controlling behavior, of Natalie's growing suspicion that Robert wasn't telling her the full truth. He was possessive, especially when it came to her co-stars. And one name kept returning: Christopher Walken. In 1981, Natalie began filming Brainstorm, a sci-fi movie with Walken. Rumors of an emotional closeness between them circulated. Robert didn't like it, not one bit. And when the three of them, Natalie, Robert, and Christopher, took a weekend yacht trip together that November, the tension was already bubbling. But the emotional cracks in Natalie went deeper than just marriage. She had always battled fear of being forgotten, of drowning, of never being truly loved. Friends said she was deeply insecure. She drank to ease the anxiety. She trusted few. The glamorous red carpet icon still carried the wounds of that little girl who had to perform to be loved. She once admitted in an interview, "I've always been terrified of dark water. I can't explain it, just terrified." Yet on the night of the 28th of November, 1981, she was on a yacht in the middle of dark water. Witnesses later recalled loud arguments, drinking, doors slamming. Natalie vanished sometime after midnight. Hours later, her body was found, dressed in a flannel nightgown and socks, floating face down in the Pacific. The dinghy tied to the boat was missing. There were bruises on her arms, a scratch on her face, and no clear explanation. Robert Wagner claimed she must have slipped. The case was quickly closed, accidental drowning. But many didn't believe it. Something about the story didn't sit right. Too many inconsistencies, too many questions, too much silence. Hollywood moved on, but some of us never forgot. The morning of the 29th of November, 1981, broke with a headline that shook Hollywood. Natalie Wood found dead at 43. The glamorous star was gone, but the mystery had just begun. Her body was discovered a mile from the yacht, drifting in the icy Pacific. The dinghy, a small rubber boat, had also been found, beached nearby. Robert Wagner said she must have gone out to secure it and slipped, but nothing made sense. Natalie was terrified of dark water. She would never have climbed into that dinghy alone at night, not without a life jacket, not in socks. The autopsy found bruises on her arms and legs, a scratch on her cheek, a fresh abrasion on her forearm. But the cause of death was listed simply as accidental drowning and hypothermia. No mention of struggle, no real investigation. Christopher Walken, silent for decades, has never publicly contradicted Wagner's account. But the boat's captain, Dennis Davin, later changed his story, saying there had been a loud argument between Wagner and Natalie that night, that Robert had been furious, that he delayed calling for help. In 2011, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopened the case. And in 2018, they named Robert Wagner a person of interest, citing inconsistencies in his statements. But no charges were ever filed. Natalie's death remains one of Hollywood's most haunting, unsolved tragedies, a case wrapped in silence, speculation, and fear. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened on that boat, or if someone does, they're still not speaking. Natalie Wood was more than a star. She was a symbol of a generation. Her films, from West Side Story to Rebel Without a Cause, remain iconic. Her face, her voice, her presence, unforgettable. But what she left behind goes deeper than roles or awards. Natalie's death sparked decades of speculation, but also a deeper reckoning about how Hollywood treats its women, about how easily truth can be buried beneath image, about the cost of silence. Her daughters, including actress Natasha Gregson Wagner, have fought to protect her legacy. In interviews, Natasha describes Natalie not as a tragic figure, but as a warm, vibrant mother, someone full of life and tenderness. She wasn't broken, Natasha once said. She was human, and she was trying. And maybe that's what makes her story so heartbreaking. We remember Natalie Wood as the girl who lit up the screen, but few truly knew the woman behind the eyes, the one who longed to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. Hollywood moves fast, fame fades, but some mysteries and some hearts never let go.